Hey guys, it's Matt. I've thought about this for years. I don't think I've ever mentioned it even once in a video. I wonder how many of you have thought about this in the same way I have. I'll look to your comments. I'll pose it to you as a question in just about a minute. But how do I set this up? Whoever made this reality, whoever created this, I'll try to keep this as generic and neutral as possible for obvious reasons. However, this reality was created, the God, it, they, creation, creator, could have made one small change to our existence. One tiny little decision made differently would change everything, quote, out our window, how society behaves, how people behave. If this one decision was made, I don't think Not Nil could exist. It certainly wouldn't exist in the same way. Life would improve tenfold or a hundredfold. And the question is, what would that change be if you were, designing a reality, an existence for souls and spirits? And the answer to me is, it's just fascinating for me to play this out, and I really look forward to your comments. If we knew the day of our death, maybe from birth, or whatever it may be, it could be the body itself telling us that our day of expiration. A lot of things we know the expiration. If you might buy a flashlight, and the flashlight says, if you charge it a certain amount of time, flashlight will shine for 6 hours. Your body tells you, come here, Czar. The body tells you when it has an upset stomach. It can tell you a lot of things about it. Is it so out of the question that there could be a little mark on our hand that, the expiration of this body is 75 years or 60 years or 80 years or whatever it may be? The body, why is it so out of the question? The body may know its expiration. It could tell you in some way. Or it could be, if you don't like that at all, it could be it doesn't really matter which of these scenarios jive with you. It could be a technology, thinking for some reason like Dune, Paul Atreides, what do you have to put his hand in the box of pain with the Bene Gesserits or whatever? Maybe there could be a technology, whether it be the Bene Gesserit witches or a technology where you put at age 30, you're able to put your hand in the black box and it'll tell you your expiration date is 68 or whatever, 85 or whatever it may be. Even if it's 40, whatever it may be, knowing the date of expiration would change everything, would just change. Now, it wouldn't. If there are only a small number of spiritual beings here, and most of these people are background characters, or aren't the same sort of entity as others or NPCs, maybe it wouldn't change for the best. Maybe them knowing their expiration may lead to not some very good outcomes. But for those of people like us, if everybody was like us, knowing your date of expiration would improve society a hundredfold. So I'm going to try to demonstrate how that would be, and I'll be back in a few minutes. I want to just talk about this Star Trek episode and show you a few images and see, this is basically the first time I even considered this notion. I'll be back in a minute. I just looked up the details on the Star Trek The Next Generation episode. Season 4, Episode 22, 1991. It's called Half a Life. It stars David Stiers? I never knew the guy's name that played Winchester on MASH. I looked up his name, David Stiers. I'm like, how come I'm not familiar with that? Very strange. Anyway, no, it's not a Mandela effect. This is the first time I even thought about such a thing. Let me recap the episode, and then we'll talk about it. I'll come back again in a few minutes. Might want to show you a few other things, though, first. But David Stiers, I guess he's an ambassador. He comes on the Enterprise. He falls in love with Diana Troy's mother, Roxana Troy. They spend a few weeks together on the Enterprise, and then he finally comes clean that he's 59, and per their culture, the planet he lives on, they put everyone to death at age 60. They euthanize the old, so they present it in the show as this is the ancient tradition to not be a burden on the youth. So looking at this episode again for the first time in many decades, it's shocking. It's so young, age 60. Now, when I saw this in 1991 with a beer in my hand at Penn State. That was old as hell. I didn't it didn't seem shockingly young to me when I was at Penn State watching this. My roommate was a gigantic, huge Star Trek fan. He would actually do a countdown. 5 minutes to the next, not 5 hours. 5 hours till the Next Generation comes on. 3.5 hours, Matt, till the Next Generation comes on. I'm not joking. He would do a countdown. It's all he lived for all day long. The episodes were new back then. So back then, okay, I'm 21. I'm never going to be 60. It didn't matter to me. It seemed old as hell. So now it seems like shocking that they put that in the episode, age 60. But I wasn't thinking about it then like I am now. But it was the first time it ever even crossed my mind that there could be a culture or any scenario where you knew the exact moment, day, or at least year of your expiration or of your death. So in the Star Trek episode, you can kind of guess how this would play out. Roxana had fallen in love with him, so of course, these ancient traditions are barbaric. You don't have to go through with it. Come back with me to Betazoid or Beta Z, wherever she's from. You don't have to do this. These ancient traditions. And then, of course, Picard, what is he going to do? He's always going to take the side of supporting the ancient traditions, respecting the culture. And, of course, he doesn't just run off with her, elope to Beta Z. I'm not giving away spoilers, plus the thing's like 30-some years old. He does it, of course. And again, I'm watching this. It is planting the notion of this concept in my head. Certainly wasn't thinking about it in any way back then like I'm thinking about it now. I wasn't really even that concerned with the moral issue of it, of course, back then. Who would be at 21 or whatever? I've got to go rewatch it. We rewatch the episode. It is shocking to me. I mean, I'm pushing my mid-50s. So it is surprising. I guess, the age 60 thing, they did that on purpose to really get you thinking. But again, back then, I was 21 back at Penn State. That was old as hell. They'd put the old man to pasture. I would probably say, I don't care. I'll never get to that age. You'll never be that old when you're 21. So, I don't know. As I've been thinking about this a lot, and mostly the point of this video is how tremendously beneficial this would be to society. How maybe billions of people miss out on what they're supposed to do here. They don't do part 2, the worry about yourself activities. They're basically believe in a sense they're immortal. When we're alive and we don't know our day of expiration or date of death, how does everybody act? And I mean almost everybody. That surely there'll be one more day. Even though, I've been diagnosed with this or that, and even if people know they don't even have a year left, and even if they start to get into a situation where they're in pain or they sense the end coming, surely there'll be one more day. And that changes everything. It really does. Because there's family members that watch this channel, I guess now. So God forbid I actually mention somebody's name, or that'd be so terrible. So I just have to speak in generalities now, just in general. I know people that for years have said, they see something on TV, the Eiffel Tower, whatever, pick anything. I can't use any specifics anymore. That'd be so horrible if I gave a real example. Before I die or whatever, I'm going to go see that or whatever. But then 10 years later, they say the same thing. I'm going to do that. They just keep operating like there's always going to be more time. Now, this is human nature. It's not, we all do it. Of course, we all do it. But if you knew, just think about it. I'm saying, let me complete the thought. I'm always jumping ahead to the next thought. If you knew, forget the exact day and moment, just knew the year, that would change everything in society. Just knew the month, that would change everything in society. Somebody would know, let's say that it's age 80. Someone would say, we're 75. Say, well, I keep saying I'm going to go do it. I better go do it. They probably would go do it. They would just live differently. I think they wouldn't pass by that rose bush knowing there's going to be another day to see the rose bush. Literally smelling the roses. It would change if the world is full of real spiritual beings like us. It would change the world 100-fold for the better, and the not milk would have trouble existing. If most people out there are not like us or NPC type or whatever they may be, they may sense the complete end of their own existence, not that they go on or experience something else and they might, somebody might, their body and the little tattoo in the body might say their expiration is 45 or 55 or whatever it may be, or they put their hand in the box and it says 62, whatever. And they're like, oh, time to stop, all responsibilities, just walk off the job, just start partying. Maybe if most of the populations in big cities are NPCs or they're not like us, it could get very bad for those that know they're just a few months away, because they throw it all to say, F it. Let's just party. Not quite, you know what I mean? Like loot or whatever it may be, just because they sense that entity may sense the end of their own existence. If the NPC exists, it is tied to this place. It may be a one and done. It doesn't go on like we sense we will. So if this place is full of NPCs, knowing the month of termination is very bad. If it's full of people like us, it would change everything. And, at this point, we have to assume that most people are like us, because the Nautilus has done a tremendous job hiding people from who they really are. That's nice, Czar. Who they really are, their true nature. So I think I want to talk about that scene with Brad Pitt. I always come back to it. It's one of the greatest truth drops, profound wisdoms in all of movie history. Troy, where he says something like, "The gods envy us." Let me figure out what he said again. Look at it, and I'll be right back. Okay, here it is. This is one of the most profound truths of all time in movie history. Forklift operators and long-haul truckers, as usual, you don't need to see this. I'll read it to you. There's nothing in this channel you need to see unless I specifically point it out and say you need to see it. Okay, Brad Pitt as Achilles in Troy, the Trojan War. He's speaking to Briseis, the daughter of King Priam of Troy. Agamemnon and his goons have landed on the beach, and the war has started for Troy. He says to Briseis, she's in his tent. He's kind of taken her captive, but he's slowly falling in love with her. "I'll tell you a secret, something they don't teach you in your temple. The gods envy us. They envy us because we're mortal, because any moment may be our last. Everything is more beautiful because we're doomed. You will never be more lovelier than you are now. We will never be here again." And one of those final statements was particularly true of Brad Pitt himself, the actor, during the filming of Troy. You will never be more lovelier than you are now. He did that 8-week steroid cycle, so his biceps were gigantic. He looked great. And people watched it. Look at that hunk of man. Look at that hunk of man. And then now he kind of looks like a dried up piece of leather. I'm not sure he's aging real well, but I don't pay that much attention. Sorry, it has nothing to do with Brad Pitt. This is a gigantic truth of this world. The gods envy us. That doesn't mean to take this literally, that we are mortal and it's a one and done lifetime. We, in a way, are part of the divine, of course, all that ever existed, all that ever was, all that ever will be. So in a way, maybe when we aren't here, in a way, our friends may be in this earth realm experiencing mortality. Where we come from, we likely don't experience mortality because we know we can never die. And maybe he's referring to your spiritual self when you're not here, the gods envy us. When you're not in the earth system, you might be done with the earth system, but you may in a way envy those in the earth system because they're understanding for the first time what mortality is, how beautiful it may be if we will never be here again. This is the last time I'll ever smell the roses or pass by the rose bush. And it can be exponentially more beautiful if you knew the date of your own death or termination. And that brings me back to a song we've looked at a few times over the years, Damien Rice, Cannonball, where the chorus presents a series of opposites. Stones, real heavy, weigh you down. Stones taught me to fly. Love taught me to cry. Well, there can be a lot of crying. It's not completely opposite, but the last one is what got my attention. Life taught me to die. Life taught me to die. Can't experience more. That just means experiencing mortality. To embrace, it would be a beautiful thing. Basically, where is this video going? It would be a beautiful thing to know the last day of our existence. It would make all of life more beautiful. Everything Brad Pitt said about the gods envy us would go up on steroids times a million. It's all watered down and lost on people because they never come to grips with it. It'll never be their last day. There will always be one more day. No matter how sickly, how diseased, there'll still be one more day to get it done. That mindset kills this entire life experience. You can see it. I know you can. I mean, what Violet went through, Lisa/Violet went through, horrific situation. And I don't know how to talk about this. I want to be as respectful as possible, but knowing the exact day, there's something very beautiful about that. You understand what I'm saying? Or is this, imagine somebody tuning in by mistake to this. I mean, she did not go through a beautiful experience. It was very horrific. Her body was failing, etc. But I've thought about it. I've never known anybody that knew when the last day was coming, and it's really, let's just say it's when I really started thinking about this sort of thing. Damien Rice Cannonball, life taught me to die. You can't understand mortality or the potential end of existence until you go through this thing on earth called life. Can't you Matt, if you were a spiritual being before this, couldn't you just not incarnate, maybe take a correspondence class, or like they got the University of Phoenix for spirits, which the interns called the Harvard of the West. You can't take a correspondence class or a class as a spiritual being. Say, I don't want to go do that earth thing. Just teach me about the end of life, or the end of my mortality, the end of existence. You can't teach a spiritual being about the end of its existence in a classroom, even if it is the University of Phoenix, the Harvard of the West. You have to go experience it. That's why you have to come in here with the mind wipe. All these people complain. It just drives me crazy. It's not fair, this life. You wouldn't, if it was fair, we'd know about ourselves. It doesn't work if you know who you were. Isn't that obvious? Nothing here works if you knew what you were or who you were. We're here to experience a potential end. We can all talk a big game, or Christians know they're going to see Jesus, or whatever it may be. We can talk a big game, but nobody really knows for sure. We have a full confidence and inner knowing that this is not the end. But it's a lie to say, we're 100%. We'll never be 100%. And even if it's 95%, that's pretty good. But that 5%, that could be the end where we just keep on the table because we have to. This could be the end of our entire existence. That is what this life is for. Life taught me to die. No class for a spiritual being other than coming into a hardcore pipe-hitting place like this can teach you to die. It doesn't mean teach you to die. It means teach you about mortality. Let you experience it. What it feels like that this could be the end for all of existence. Can't get that through no correspondence class for spiritual beings. And if we knew who we were, or we had some clues, this whole thing wouldn't work. Let's go back to the quote. Could do an hour just on this quote. Could do a video once a week just on this quote. Again, Achilles here is talking to Briseis, the daughter of King Priam. Okay, she was captured by Agamemnon. They don't know who she is. They don't know she's royalty. They thought she's just a slave girl working in the temple. She's very pious. She honors the gods. She puts the burnt offerings in the temple of Zeus and Apollo and Ares. And, honor the gods, honor the gods. And again, I guess Agamemnon and his thugs break into these temples, and in one temple there's Briseis. They don't know and neither does Achilles at this time. Achilles, that's Philly. Achilles, they don't know she's royalty. But for either way, he's starting to fall in love with her. He knows she's just a good little servant of the gods. And Achilles, he knows is all bullshit, even though his mother is called a sea nymph that is related to the gods, is like more than a demigod, a sea nymph. There are gods that have mated with sea nymphs that have made other gods. In this case, Achilles' mother in the legend, a sea nymph mated or got with, that's Philly, got with a mortal man, a king, and that made Achilles. She dunked him, I believe, holding by his heel in the river Styx to make him invulnerable to weapons, but she had to hold on to his foot by the heel to dunk him in the river Styx. Thus, you have the one spot on him that, of course, the arrow finds, the Achilles heel. So, first line, Again, he's trying to he sees through all the bullshit, and she bows down to all the gods. I'll tell you a secret, Perseus. Something they don't teach you in your temple. Okay, meaning in the temple, oh, you're a good little servant of the gods. And the gods are all powerful, and you have to bow down before them and worship, and they make no mistake, and their farts don't smell. Here's something they don't teach you. You know, these all powerful gods in this Greek pantheon, they envy us because of the experience we're having. This is not meant to be taken literally, that because we're mortal. And when I first watched the movie for the first time, I thought, whoa, why would they envy us because you get killed on battle? You done. That's it. Why would they envy that? Because it's not meant to be taken that way. The mortal is the experience we're having, not that we are truly mortal. What we're talking about here is also in a way very much related to the Star Trek Voyager episode called Death Wish. There's a Q, like the Q, many know in Star Trek The Next Generation, carried through to Voyager. For those that don't watch, it's this all-powerful entity in the universe. They could just snap his fingers and make a planet disappear. He could just basically do anything. But you never get the sense that this is God. It's just some entity here in this closed system that is all powerful. But nobody ever gets the impression, even a popcorn cruncher, that like Q is God. That's another layer. They never said they designed the entire reality or responsible for their own existence. But there's another Q. Let me just get right to the point. There's another Q who just literally wants to commit suicide. Another Q entity wants to die, wants to end his existence. And he basically says to Janeway, when you've seen everything, when you've done everything, when you've experienced everything for hundreds of millions of years, whatever it may be, he goes, there's just nothing left. There's nothing left. And the Q continuum, he's a threat to them. It's the only Q that ever wanted to die or end his existence. They lock him away magically inside some comet or meteor. He's locked away for eternity because this idea, there's other Qs running around, all powerful beings. His ideas, they don't want them to spread. Somehow he gets out of maybe Voyager through an experiment or something. He gets out of the comet he's stuck in. And now he's back, and the Q that everybody knows from the Next Generation intervenes, and there's a trial. He basically says it's my right to end my existence, and the Voyager crew is like, why would you want to end your existence? You can snap your fingers and you can be there sitting with Elon Musk watching the men's pole vault event and with all the other stars in Paris. You can do anything, go anywhere. And he basically says, I can only give you one comparison that you can kind of understand. He's like, this is what life is like for me. He snaps his fingers. The Star Trek crew go to this sleepy, horrible Western town. There's nothing there. He's just created it. There's tumbleweed. There's nothing to do. People just sitting in the rocking chair, drooling, reading the same magazine for thousands of years. And he says, what I can do seems very exciting to you, Janeway, and the mortals here aboard the Star Trek Voyager. But this is what you consider so fascinating and so exciting. I've done everything a million times over for a million years. This is what everything's like to me. Some guy in a rocking chair drooling. It's like, this is, when you've done everything for billions of years or whatever it may be, even what's exciting gets to be mundane. I want to end my existence. And the Q continuum's like, no, you can't, and there's a trial, etc. But again, how the point is, does anybody know where I'm going with this? Matt, that was insane. Maybe we're like this. Okay, maybe again, if we are part of something that always will be and always has been, I know that's really hard to wrap your head around. But the only thing that could be at least the least bit exciting is something like this. Your life right now. You come in knowing nothing, that you keep in the back of your mind, and for many people in the forefront, that this is it, one and done life, the end of existence. Life taught me to die, understanding mortality for the first time. And so instead of trying to kill himself, but this Q here he should plan himself on Earth in 1850 with a mind wipe. This is an image of the Q character that many of you know on the right that was originally in Star Trek The Next Generation with Picard that was carried through to Janeway. The person on the left, or the Q on the left, is an actor just for this one episode. He's the Q that wants to end his existence. And even going back to the Q in The Next Generation with Picard, one thing I always found interesting, and I'm not sure, how many people that watch Star Trek notice this, but I always kind of latched onto it, that they're never looked at by anybody as God. And you think, well, why not? Not that I would think they're God if I was on the Enterprise, but I'm like, why doesn't Riker think this is God? These entities literally can, I don't know how to say it, just can snap their fingers and a sun disappears, or they can do anything they can think about. That is the way it's presented. Put an entire species of a billion thing in a bottle. Anything they can think about. Yet nobody, it's like a truth drop. Nobody looks to them as God. And I don't think there's any episode where one of the crew says, "Are you God? Did you," or maybe they don't say it that, outright, but they say, nobody says, "Did you create this entire universe?" I don't think that ever comes up. They don't look, so that means that the creator of this universe where we are now, or where Picard is flying around in on the Enterprise, is millions of times greater than the Q, because the Q is never positioned as God. And to me, in a way, the Q continuum is very much like the Minion class here, what Tony calls the sequential incarnation of Jared, not Jared from Subway, Jared Kushner, but probably the same entity, Melvin P., George Soros. It's a different spiritual entity. And it seemed like this presentation in Star Trek Voyager, these Q continuum, the Q that harasses Picard and plays his little games and makes planets disappear or whatever. I mean, he's supposedly, they've been around millions of years, this Q continuum. And one way to read into this is, just like the Minion class, maybe they will not progress until they're ready to be done with it. So this Q on the left is like, I'm done with this. I want to end my existence. And even the other Q's like, well, does that mean you go away forever? And they don't really have an in-depth conversation on this, but is it truly an end of his existence? Or, as we would see it, a moving on to the next highest level? So they're going to play their games. They're going to be Q in the Q continuum for millions of years until they're ready to say, I've had enough of this, and move on to whatever's coming next. It's very similar in a way to the Minion class here. Tony called them game addicted. It's a lesser spiritual entity that too much is in love with its magenta speedboat collection, does not want to take the leap of Tommy, the deaf, dumb, and blind kid, doesn't want to take the next step. So it's almost like this presentation of Star Trek Voyager, is it saying something about the Minion class? Got to be, as a Q, which are the Minions here, got to be ready to, because they control everything here. It's okay to say that. Again, like we talked about a few weeks ago, I don't want to be in control of anything here. I want to be left alone. Do you want to be in control of this place? I didn't think so. If you do in any way, you're not ready. If you in any way want to control things, or you're not ready, you have a lot of work to do. They're not going to progress until they said, I've had enough of this existence. This Q says, I've had enough of this, but you might be gone forever. He's like, I don't care. I'll take my chances on what's next. He doesn't say that, but in some it's implied. Most of this episode, though, is more about a true end of his existence. He never says that I'll take my chances with what might come next. It doesn't come up in the episode, but people like us would kind of read between the lines. It's more about, you're done, that you will not exist anymore. That's the way it's presented. But I do see a parallel between the Minion class, which Tony called the sequential incarnation, And Tony said they can get to where you are now. They can progress. Nobody wants to believe that Melvin and Bezo hey Bezo, how we gonna screw these people over this week? Nobody wants to believe they can get to where we are, or they could one day end up the same as us. We're all in the same, or part of the same thing. I don't want to believe in any way I could be in the same situation and Melvin could be right there with me. I don't want to believe that at all. It's like Molly Ringwald. I'll say it once a week, said to Ted in 16 Candles in the car outside the dance. You could come back next summer, Ted, a completely normal human being. Yeah? You think? Melvin, that's Bill Gates, if you're listening. At some point, you give up these Magenta Speedboat lifestyles, you put the work in. Melvin, are you listening? You could come back a completely normal a spiritual entity. You could be where we are someday. And just like Ted sitting in the car with Molly Ringwald outside the high school dance, Melvin's listening to me right now in his bedroom in a 25,000 square foot house somewhere outside Seattle. And he's going, really? We could be like you guys someday? I know. Okay, it's time to do. Larry Silverfish is contacting me on my pager, and he wants to give us the same speech. Oh, you people, you listen to Matt, and you people keep saying the same things to make your pathetic lives seem better. Oh, Matt says it, and you all say it. Oh, you're a greater spiritual entity than we are, and you're all just making it up to make yourselves feel better because you low here. You people that listen to Matt are low. Look around, you people. Who controls the skyscrapers? Who can bring down governments and currencies? Little George can, right here, whether he's in the form of a monkey or not. Who controls everything in this world? We do. But you people give your little speech that you're a greater spiritual entity. And I'll say it like we always do. Say it back to Larry Silverfish when we get that speech. Nobody's saying that just to try to make ourselves feel better. There is no question, if there is a difference, and we believe there is, that we are the greater spiritual entity than these minions that run around with Magenta Speedboat collections. If there's a difference between us, and it's pretty clear that there is, Tony called them sequential incarnations, that we are the superior being when you back up far enough. Nobody's saying that to make poor, pathetic lives seem better. Matt's just saying it to make people feel good. You can feel it in everything inside you. These minions, it's pathetic what they do here. It's like walking through the forest and you come across like a pond, a little pool with algae all in it. Some being pops up out of the pond or something, like that black goo creature that killed Tasha Yar. We're thinking about Star Trek. There was a black goo creature that killed Tasha Yar in Star Trek The Next Generation. That's like a Mandela effect. Somehow that doesn't exist anymore. I remember the black goo creature killed Tasha Yar. But again, you're in the forest. This little troll thing pops up out of a little pond and says, I'm in control of this pond. And you're like, well, who gives a shit? I don't want your pond. That's what these minions are here. In the scheme of all that there is, this is a joke. To be in control here is to have your hand down your pants. This is a joke. No real being would want to control this. So, Melvin, we're not just saying this to make ourselves feel better. Be potentially like this Q here, who says, I'm done playing these games. I want to move on. You can someday, Melvin, come back after the summer to school as a real normal human being. Yeah? So the main point in this video coming in was, what would society be like? What would life on Earth be like if everybody knew their day of death, or let's just say year of death? That would be enough. That would be enough to change everything. One of the worst things we can do individually as an entire society is just to have this belief that it's just human nature, that there'll be one more day. There'll be another day. Even if somebody that knows they're just a month away from whatever, without knowing the exact day, there'll be one more day to say goodbye or one more day to apologize, whatever it may be. And I think it would be, it would change life dramatically for the better if we all knew the year of our death or the expiration on the body. Now, again, one bit of fine print or proviso. If there's only the 144,000 here and everybody else billions or NPCs or whatever they might be, whatever sort of entity they might be, they might, they could, if they say, F it, I've just got a month left. Oh, these bills just came in? Just give me just plow down beer, drugs, alcohol. Just, drive drunk, whatever it may. How many people are going to be a menace? See, that's the downside. If there are billions of people here that aren't like us, then they could be, the fact that they don't know how much time they have left, how much longer they need to pay the bills, then they're going to stay within the boundaries. that could be a problem if 90% of the earth are NPCs or different type of entities. If people, though most people here or all people here were like us, then I think it, just like the Brad Pitt speech, life, if knowing that, say, next July is the end for Matt, for example, I'm not putting that out there or whatever. This is an example, to Matt, talking to Matt. I've got a lot more left to do, but in this situation that Violet was in, but without the pain, without the suffering, everything becomes more beautiful. Like the Brad Pitt speech, wouldn't pass by a tree without looking at it and saying that might be the last time. And see, the point is, we can do it now. I'm doing it now, and I've been the amount of it gets one of the ways I'm dealing with life and this reality right now is just to get rid of stuff. I'm on this weird quest to literally, I applied, and I've been doing this for a year, the 2-year rule. Haven't done much with this or worn this shirt in 2 years, give it to Green Drop, go give it to the Goodwill, throw it out, whatever. I mean, you see there's this big desk that was bad, the chairs pushed. I had this desk next to this desk. There was a desktop, an HP desktop that literally took 15 minutes to boot up. I'm never on this desktop. I'm like, what am I doing? I just completely ripped it apart yesterday. And I would have liked, this desk was in decent shape. And as I'm taking it apart, I'm going, it's sad that the moment I'm getting rid of this desk, there's somebody out there somewhere that needs a desk very badly. And I found, I don't know, guys, things, I don't mean to stray, I'll get back to the main point, but I just want to mention this. 5 or 10 years ago, when you had something at all valuable and you put it on Craigslist, or even I push it out to the road, someone would just pick it up and take it. I don't know, have you noticed things are different in this regard? It's almost like we all have too much stuff. I thought, should I push this desk out and put it on the road? But I've done that a few times over the last few years, and nobody takes it. I've been here since 2002. Anything decent I'd put out on the road, someone would take within a few hours. I've seen people take pieces of firewood off the road, and they don't take it anymore. I mean, I don't have a giant sample size in this regard. I've put things on Craigslist. I put 25 T-shirts. I end up giving them to Green Drop. Matt, get back to the main point, which is a spiritual conversation. I put it all in Craigslist. Nobody wanted anything, any bit of free T-shirts. Nothing. 25 people. There was some collared shirts and some other things were in there. Nothing. So, again, I'm breaking this desk down. It's a shame that somebody needs a desk somewhere, and now I'm trying to get it in small enough pieces where it can fit in the trash can. But anyway, I'm on this kick. It's the only way I can deal with everything right now. And I cut a little bit of that off. One of the reasons I'm telling you all that is it's a transition in my life, and it's also leaving behind. It's also like a don't look back moment on this world. So whether it be items of clothing or whatever I get rid of, or whatever I take out of the house, whether I throw it out or anything else, I am very sentimental, as I've mentioned many times over the years, a nostalgia towards the item, and it represents an old world or old existence to me. And I don't sit there and cry over the moth-ridden T-shirt, but I do get very emotional. Even the desk here yesterday, I'm thinking of all the bullshit that I went through on that old HP desktop, creating websites and business ideas and the insurance and everything. It's like it's moving away from an old existence. That's my process of getting rid of all this stuff. And there's a nostalgia or a sentimentality where in some cases I do get a little choked up with not with the item, but what the item represented in my old world. And this is, to me, this is a process of cutting all ties and all attachments. And it's a symbolic, getting rid of stuff is cutting ties and attachments. But knowing this is the last go around, or a sense that whatever your belief system is, higher self, we're going to get all the incarnations out of these material planes, out of Earth type systems. We're done with these material. Knowing it's the last go around, and I don't mean 20 years left in life. I mean, who knows how long this has been going on. millions of incarnations or millions of years or reincarnation or recycling or higher self putting different versions of itself in reality systems, knowing this is the end for like it brings, as I've said many times, a tremendous sentimentality and nostalgia. And I don't believe that somebody crying out, I can hear you. We've talked about it before. Matt, that is the attachment to this world. No, I absolutely disagree. You can see it as the end. You can appreciate it. This is what my life was. Or this might be the last time I ever walk by that tree. And you can get sentimental, emotional about it. That's not, Matt, that's the world trying to bring you back. No, it's not. You can, why? Because you said so, because I said so. You can be sentimental, and that's part of this experience. If you're coming back and it's not the end, you wouldn't be sentimental. There would be no nostalgia. You wouldn't give a shit. I think a lot of people kind of go through this life knowing they're not done, knowing there's a lot more. So why should they look at a different way at the rose bush or at the spider? I do this with spiders all the time. Little super spiders, I call them. Now, the big ones with the orange backs, I don't let them jump on me. If it bit me, I don't need no little visit to the urgent care center. But the little spiders, and they're also like they're like lightning. They do have markings, but they just, there's not a lot of venom. And I knew if I saw them in a magnifying glass, I wouldn't let them jump on me. But they all do this. And I don't think it's just me or anything like I'm some sort of Dr. Doolittle asshole. But they're little, I put my hand out. He's walking around, and they'll almost always just, boom, just like lightning, jump right on me. And crawl up the arm, and sometimes I'll take a little leaf. No, I don't really need you under my chin. Get them in, and then you put them on the hand, and take them to a stick or a bush, and boop, like lightning, they'll jump off. I have these weird little experiences like this, and it's almost like this is the last time. We higher self, you're not going to yell at your higher self again. Get us out of here. We're done. Higher self, we're done with these systems. You son of a beach, we are done. When I'm taking us all out of here, taking all you dumb mofos out of here. We're doing the work now, and there is a sentimentality that comes along with it. It's not an attachment to this world. And getting back to the main point of this video, if everybody knew, if everybody was like us and they knew their last day or last year, again, most real spiritual beings that are here don't see life the way we do. They're not truth researchers. Most real spiritual beings here, let's remember, are believing, they'll do anything they can to move from the cubicle into the higher levels where the offices are at ExxonMobil. They're watching the Democrat National Convention. Can you believe even one person was watching the Democrat? I flipped by and some liberal person was bitching about something the Republicans were doing. It's just unfathomable and unfathomable. At the same time, anybody could. I'd like to have a watch party at some point when I come back out into the world and I interact with real people. Maybe we could rent a place in a hotel or something. We could have a watch party for the Democrat National Convention. Just we each have a 6-pack of Pabst Blue Ribbon and just laugh our asses off. We'll have to do that stuff someday. Maybe we'll do that in the Not Milk Free Zone. In the Not Milk Free Zone, we'd like, in addition to the land Not Milk, we'd like a little. Just to keep us quiet, we need a supply of cash, and we need to put that cash to use, not with your horrible Fidelity and Vanguard investments and that demonic stuff, but so we can have little Democratic National Convention watch parties, have enough money to buy chips and salsa and things like that. So if everybody was like us, it would be a beautiful thing to know the date of our death. It would be a very beautiful, with a month left before the Bruce Willis Armageddon comet comes in, or we have a month before the Bruce Willis meteorite hits. With the movie Armageddon with Bruce Willis and Ben Affleck, that type of situation. And please, I don't need to do no sidebar on what I think space is, do I? If you're new, just put the keyboard down. If you're new. We had a month left in that type of situation, it could be fearful. It would be a beautiful thing. That you say, I looked at that bush a million times, but now I know that our Bruce Willis Armageddon meteorite is coming in. For the first time, you'd notice things you've never even looked at, and you'd see everything in a whole different way. So, Matt, are you actually proposing that this society put in that scenario from Star Trek that everybody at a certain age should go to the Soylent Green Euthanasia. Remember the Soylent Green Euthanasia Center? I'd have to think about that. I'd have to think. Right now, I'd have to err on the side of knowing whether your body tells you with a little marking or whatever it is, knowing the day or year or month of our demise or end would be a very beautiful experience. It really would. And it's a much better than wasting a life with everybody thinking, oh, I'll have more time. Oh, I'll see that next year. That is, it's almost like that's the not milk hijack. Everybody on paper will say, the question number one, as they pick up their number two pencil to do the test, do you believe you're going to die someday? Well, everybody would say yes. That doesn't mean they truly believe it. No way. I have, let's just say I have people I know, I can't say any specifics, and they literally live their life as an older person that they have 20, 30, 40. This would make them the oldest person in the history of the world, pushing Methuselah. And they live their life like there's just decades left. It blows my mind. It really does. I try to be the opposite. Try to live. My advice would be to try to live your life like this is the last year for us. Truly believe it. Why not? It makes just the Brad Pitt speech. It makes everything more beautiful. Anyway, I guess that's long enough, guys. It's been a little all over the place. I wanted to talk about these sorts of things for a long time. Thanks for listening.